blessed viewers, welcome to us Maracana. In this video, I'm going to read this book called The 48 Laws of Power. I'm going to read a chapter to you which talks about our actions win folks through actions and not through argument. And this is law number 9. Let's quickly open the book. This is it. This is it, called law number 9. And the title is Win Through Your Actions, Never Through Argument. And there is a brief summary about it, which says any momentary triumph you think you have gained through argument is really a Pyrrhic victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Demonstrate, do not explicate. So let's open this book. Let me open the chapters to the page we need to read, okay? The page is page 69. So, this is the page 69, Law 9. The title is Win Through Your Actions, Never Through Argument. So, let's read it. In 131 before Christ, the Roman consul Publius Crassus Dies Mucianus laying siege to the Greek town of Pergamos, found himself in need of a battering ram to force through the town's walls. He had seen a couple of hefty ships massed in a shipyard in Athens a few days before, and he ordered that the larger of these be sent to him immediately. The military engineer in Athens, who received the order, felt certain that the consul really wanted the smaller of the masts. He argued endlessly with the soldiers who delivered the request. The mast, the smaller mast, he told them, was much better suited to the task, and in mast arrived. Mucianus asked his soldiers for an explanation. They described to him how the engineer had argued endlessly for the smaller mast, but had finally promised to send the larger one. Mucianus went into a rage. He could not concentrate on the siege or consider the importance of the bridge in the walls before the town received reinforcements. All he could think about was the impudent engineer, whom he ordered to be brought to him immediately. Arriving a few days later, the engineer gladly explained to the consul one more reasons for the smaller mast. He went on, using the same argument he had made with the soldiers. He said it was wise to listen to experts in these matters, and if the attack was only tried with a battering ram he had sent, the consul would not regret it. Oceanus let him finish, then had him stripped naked before the soldiers, and flogged and scorched with rods until he died. The interpretation of this chapter I just read. The engineer, whose name has not been recorded by history, had spent his life designing master pillars and was respected as the finest engineer in the city that others excelled in the science. He knew that he was right. A smaller ram would allow more speed and carry more force. Larger is not necessarily better. Of course, the consul would see his logic and would eventually understand that science is neutral and reason is superior. How could the consul possibly persist in his ignorance if the engineer showed him detailed diagrams and explained the theories behind his advice? The military engineer was the quintessence of the arguer, a type found everywhere among us. The arguer does not understand that words are never neutral, that by arguing with the superior, he impacts the intelligence of one more powerful than he. He also has no awareness of the person he is dealing with, since each man believes that he is right and voice will rarely convince him otherwise. The arguer's reasoning falls on deaf ears. When cornered, he only argues more, digging his own grave. Once he has paid, other person feel insecure and inferior in his beliefs. The eloquence of secrets could not save the situation. It is not simply a question of avoiding an argument. With those who stand above you, we all believe we are masters in the realm of opinions and reasoning. You must be careful. Then learn to demonstrate the correctness of your ideas indirectly. So, I'm going to read the observance to your hearing. So let me read about the observance of the law. In 1502, in Florence, Italy, an enormous block of marble stood in the works department of the Church of Santa Maria del Fiore. It had once been a magnificent piece of rock stone, but an unskillful sculptor had mistakenly bored a hole through it where there should have been a figure's legs, generally mutilating it. Piero So Darini, Florence mayor, had contemplated trying to save the block by commissioning Leonardo da Vinci to work on it, or some other master, but had given up since everyone agreed that the stone had been ruined. So, despite the money that had been wasted on it, it gathered dust in the dark halls of the church. This was why things stood until some Florentine friends of the great Michelangelo decided to write to the artist then living in Rome. He alone, they said, could do something with the marble, which was the magnificent raw material. Michelangelo traveled to Florence, examined the stone, and came to the conclusion that he could, in fact, carve a fine figure from it by adapting the pores to the way the rock had been mutilated. So Derini argued that this was a waste of time. Nobody could salvage a disaster, but he finally agreed to let the artist work on it. Michelangelo decided he would depict a young David sling in a hand. Weeks later, as Michelangelo was putting the final touches on the statue, so the Rene entered the studio, fancying himself a bit of a connoisseur. He studied a huge work. Weeks later, as Michelangelo was putting the final touches on the statue, so the Rene entered the studio, fancying himself a bit of a connoisseur. He studied a huge work and told Michelangelo that while he thought it was magnificent, the nose he changed was too big. Michelangelo realized that Soderini was standing in a place right under the giant figure and did not have the proper perspective. Without waiting to get straight for Soderini to follow up the scaffolding, reaching the nose, he picked up his chisel as well as a bit of marble dust laid on the planks. We saw the rainy just a few feet below him on the scaffolding. Michelangelo started to tap lightly with the chisel, letting the bits of dust he had gathered in his hand to fall little by little. He actually did not change the nose but gave every appearance of working on it. After a few minutes of this chariot, he stood aside. Look at it now. Like a better reply, so Darini, you have made it come alive. Michelangelo knew that by changing the shape of the nose, he might ruin the entire sculpture. Michelangelo nothing, but it would put future commissions in jeopardy. Michelangelo was too clever to argue. His solution was to change Soderini's perspective without making him realize that this was the cause of his misconception. Fortunately for prosperity, Michelangelo found a way to keep the perfection of the statue intact while at the same time making Soderini believe he had improved it. Such is the double power of winning through actions rather than argument. No one is offended and your point is proven. I've come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching.